Body. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Chop Sports Daily, coming to you live from the Chop Studios right here in Matawan, New Jersey. It is Sturch, it is Gooch, it is nobody else. We had A5 with the old call-out ski. Hopefully he can join us in the comments if he's at home watching
the Chop Sports Daily.
Watching the Chop Sports
Feeling
Daily.
up to it.
So do that. Good morning to everybody out. Nick, actually, we were just talking to you as you jump into the chat. We were just talking to you via recording. So you'll hear our message to you later when you're editing this podcast. So we hope everybody's doing well out there on a Wednesday, hump day. We're halfway through the week, already starting to talk about week number 2 when it comes to the NFL. We'll get into all that stuff. He's not really sick. He's faking it, according to what Sauce is saying, and that could be a thing. We'll see. But if you want to support Chop Sports, please do so by heading on over to patreon.com/Chop Sports. That's how to do it. I almost just dropped the price. A $3, a $5, and a $10 increments. That's how to do it. We really appreciate everybody that's already chimed in and chipped in throughout the course of the Patreon's existence. And last night, you guys had another break, buds. Did you do anything for the Patreon members?
Just say yes. No. We did not do anything for the Patreon, but the Patreon members have to tune in to the memorabilia breaks on YouTube. Eventually, you guys are going to know all this, right? So because the people that watch, I think there's a lot of confusion as to how we do things, but we got it all shored up. The store is coming soon.
Did you write that comment?
Bear with me. Yes, I'm saying, what's going on, Scoop?
Where's Scoop? Oh, we'll talk about him in a second.
I'm just trying to get Scoop in the comments.
Yeah.
I want to
make sure he's there. Make sure he's present.
Make sure he's present.
Raise your hand if you're here. When we say your name here, Tony Benevento here. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well out there. A lot to go into. I will say this before you get into your rundown ski. Today marks 10 years, a decade since my first professional wrestling match in front of a live crowd.
There you go.
10 years ago, a young Dave Sturchio went out there and threw 24 other men over a top rope and won a student battle royal in the Rollway Rec Center in front of 1,300 people. Chris, I have to ask you, bro.
I totally thought you were going to say 13 people.
No, I was very spoiled. Like a lot of, actually, that's the majority. That's the norm. When you first start wrestling, you wrestle for these companies that are like
so much
nobody in there.
Better if you said 13 people.
But
no, I remember those days. I remember I was.
That's what I want to ask you.
I was kind of around the time that we were. I mean, we knew each other for a little bit at that point.
Yeah. So I want to ask you.
Okay.
Big Shot sold a lot of tickets for me because DeCrosta helped me out tremendously. I sold 153 tickets, not just the Big Shots, but there were a lot of people sold tickets to come see me.
Okay.
Where were you, bro? All the bartenders were there.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Some of them were doing the after party.
Because I was a bartender there and I wasn't there.
Did you work the after party? Do you remember?
I would imagine I did. It was on a weekend. Yeah.
Right.
Because all the bartenders were there. Typically what happens in those situations, they're like, okay, so who wants to work the day that a bunch of people that work here are going to come in? That's usually a really good day to work.
Oh, okay.
Because you work with
not in the service industry.
If you're serving a bunch of your coworkers at a bar, the tips are a little bit better those days. So I definitely sat out the wrestling, the Royal Rumble, and I had a good night at Big Shot then.
All right. Well, I did too. We came there, we celebrated. It was a good time.
Just to be clear, I can't remember what I did 3 days ago. And
I don't remember what I had for lunch
10 years ago today.
But that's what Facebook does for you. It's like, hey, by the way, Dave, you did a good thing.
Well, I think last year at this point I was already well into my deleting my memories as you go on Facebook because they're so cringe. You see what you posted 8 years ago. So like
I would probably be locked up for some of the stuff that I used to say.
We definitely wouldn't have a show. And that's a fact. And you've got to go through and just delete the old shit because I don't ever want to see it again.
I delete a lot of things
did that from this day last year.
I deleted a lot of things from 2011 because 2011, I've mentioned that plenty of times on this show. I was dating that one girl, and if she got hit by a bus tomorrow, I wouldn't be. Dark times.
Yeah, there are brighter days ahead here at the Chop Studio.
Yeah, no, a lot of fun going on. I did see. Speaking of wrestling, I did see Chris Payne at the gym today. He officially signed up at the Kingdom. So he's there. He comes walking in. So that actually opens up the Kingdom in right around the corner, really. It's like 6 minutes away. Dr. John Segretti opening up a gym. He had this vision.
I need him to crack my back.
Yeah, he's a miracle worker. I've never walked so straight in my life after talking and visiting Dr. John. But anyway, that gym opens up. A little plug ski over there. But a lot to get into on the rundown. And Scoop is checking in along with Tony Benevento. Mark, what's going on, guys, in the live chat? Appreciate you guys, as always, as we're down to 3 shows left on a daily regimen. So today, tomorrow, and Friday will be it for the daily show. And then next week, starting next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday in itself is going to be a completely different entity almost. It's going to be our lean show.
The Friday lean, sports, and the boys in the comments.
With all the fantasy stuff and the game picks and everything like that. So we're developing that right now. So get us while you're hot.
We're hot.
I was trying to give them a compliment.
Oh.
So anyway,
yes.
There's your rundown. Go for it, kid.
Okay, so big news coming out of the Sauce Network.
Oh, no. What happened?
Big news. So Scoop received a little bit of a promotion. The mighty 13-3 against the spread.
Yeah, he had a great day.
His game picks listed on the NFL VIP ticket. So on Monday night, Scoop says,
wow.
Right?
I remember
so
that.
That's
I
a big thing.
That's huge.
That's a big thing. Well, how the mighty have fallen.
No.
I have sources inside the Sauce Network.
Oh, no.
And I was kind of looking at the VIP ticket yesterday, and I don't really typically track soccer, but because Scoop had such great success on Sunday, I figured, you know what, let me ride this hot streak. I dropped 5.68 units on Scoop's 1-9 ticket last night.
Oh,
so Scoop, you got to get it together. I got sources inside the Sauce Network that are kind of reporting there's a mutiny going on. All of the handicappers want answers. How did Scoop get added to the VIP list after one successful weekend? I mean, and they have a point, because what happened, Scoop?
Jesus.
We're curious over here at Chop Sports. What could have possibly happened in 24 hours? Could you shed some light on this? Because you have the chance now if you want to drop some comments. But Scoop, we're with you, buddy. We're going to stick with Scoop on this one. But
listen,
I think we need some answers.
It's almost a fade Scoop initiative has been begun now.
The fade Scoop initiative has definitely begun.
I mean, everybody was fading me. I had a really bad week.
So look, there is some good food on there. If you want to follow Scoop on his VIP ticket, all you got to do is fade him, and there's money to be made. So
here comes Captain Literal Man, by the way. Gooch, name a team you bet on from Scoop's card.
1-0. It's soccer. Nobody fucking scores. What are you asking me for? They were all 1-0.
No. He wants to know one team you bet on. So he's calling your bluff here.
Munich.
There
FC.
It is. Done. Come on,
bro. Munich FC. Scoop, get it together.
He's sticking up for his boy.
Toast, don't worry, bro. See, I guess Toast is on Team Scoop. I wonder who the mutiny is starting. Is that Sean Redden?
Oh my!
Is it Sean Redden that's starting?
There is.
Look, we need some answers. That's all I know. That's all I know. All right. So moving on, we got some crazy action in Major League Baseball yesterday. Aaron Judge hits 56 and 57, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But another Yankee slugger was promoted to Double-A. So, Dave, if you want to make your way over to Somerset one of these days, we could get Jason Dominguez yoking bombs 30 minutes away.
He led off last night, by the way.
So he did play last night. Yeah. He was in the lineup. So I'm curious if we can make our way over there. Anybody want to join us? We might be heading over to Somerset to watch Dominguez strike out twice. Joe Ryan went 7 strong, no-hit baseball, no-hit pitch. Pause. I don't know how that came out, but Joe Ryan, 7 innings, no hits, 106 pitches, and they yanked him. They lost a no-hit bid in the 9th, combined no-hitter. That's becoming a more norm thing. You would never see that 10 years ago.
Within the chat, by the way. Fighting words, I'm coming in.
Is it terroristic threats?
That could be. Oh, wait. Scoop is on his way to Quality Eye Care Madawan Studio. All right, first of all, if you know somebody that wants to sponsor the studio, please let me know. If Quality
I think he's going for absolute. But we appreciate the plug nonetheless. Sauce, that is good stuff.
They moved to NYC. Scooby saw the picture yesterday.
Oh, that is great. Scoop, we are in the city, high-rise building.
Yeah, huge. We're just in the other sector right now.
Wow, I had to pass on that joke. All right, so
oh, dude.
The Giants sent down pitcher Zach Littell. I don't know how you pronounce his name, but if you guys watched any of these social media stories that came out over the week, because it was really all social media. It's West Coast baseball. Nobody here gives a fuck about it, but I found this funny. This guy got pulled. He gave up 2 runs. His ERA is like 5 flat, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gave up 2 runs in the inning. Gabe Kapler comes out to take the pitcher out. Dude, 2 things. 1, you're a ginger. 2, you suck, right?
Clearly.
So 3, you shouldn't slam the ball into your manager's hand. And Gabe Kapler is a little fucking psychopath. Do you remember Gabe Kapler went at the Yankees in the whole Boston? There was like Gabe Kapler wanted to fight everybody. The guy had veins popping out of his temples, definitely sauced up at the time. But Gabe Kapler I think is a good manager and does not take shit from anybody. You saw that in his playing days. And you definitely saw that in the dugout because the way he looked at him was like, oh, we're going to talk about this.
No, come here.
As soon as he got to the dugout, he calls him down into the clubhouse, and they have it out a little scuffle from what I read in the headline, but that could be Wolf tickets. Nonetheless, 2 hours later, Zach Littell gets sent down to AAA. So happy trail, Zach Littell.
That rhymed.
It didn't, but it did. It
rhymed.
But,
just chiming in on the scoop bets. Statistically speaking, someone going into 10 games blindly could bet around 5-5. Going 1-9 is something special.
Man. Just throw darts next time, Scoop. You'll be better off. Where are we at in the rundown? Okay, so the Suns owner, a little NBA news. I think that we kind of all expected this to happen. I didn't know how severe the fine would be. $10 million to a billionaire. I feel like it's goddamn nothing. Absolutely nothing. And he gets a 1-year ban. So the person that he hires to do all of his bidding could just do all of his bidding. Essentially, these things don't really count.
What do you get in trouble for?
A gloss over because he's a racist piece of shit, misogynistic. He is racist, but I'm not quite sure if he's as racist as the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Like the entire school?
So they just hired a coach. They just fired their coach.
Scott Frost.
Yes.
Yeah.
They hire Mickey Joseph. He's the first black head coach in Nebraska history. And I say history, and I don't mean their college football program. I'm saying in school history across all sports. So that's a little alarming. I wonder how many colleges that is true for. You would imagine that at some point over the course of the 100 years that these institutions have been there, that they would have kind of figured it out by now. But that's another story for another day. NFL action, NFL news. Najee Harris is looking like he's going to play this weekend. He declared himself ready to go. So pour a little cold water on the Jaylen Warren sweepstakes, but I do think he's still a play for not a play, but you should have him if you have.
I got Khalil Herbert this morning without even nobody picked him up. I was like,
that's a nice little not have to
I
waste.
did drop Alec Pierce for him though.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
And I think I'll be all right.
Because
I took Rube's long-term advice. I wasn't chasing points. I was like, just in case this Herbert thing plays out nicely for him.
And look, I think that Alec Pierce, it's week 1. He didn't get anything. He had a goose egg, but it's his first start. He played a lot of snaps, I believe, right?
Herbert?
Alec Pierce.
He saw the field. He dropped one in the end zone.
He saw the field a lot. I think he's going to be just fine.
He literally dropped one in the end zone. It was like in his bread.
Now, I'm not going to say that he's this season's Amon-Ra St. Brown, but just because he doesn't start off a scorching hot, he could pick it up later on. He's going to pick things up. I still have a little bit of faith in Alec Pierce.
Wow.
Based on the situation
that
he's
take
in.
There, Nick. Saquon's going for 200 against the Browns.
Okay, what else do we got? The Bret Favre scandal.
We'll get into that.
Is starting to take shape a little bit, and we'll talk about that as a little more topical. So we'll get into that after the rundown. The Dallas Cowboys. There's obviously the quarterback situation. There's a lot of question marks surrounding that now.
Fun times.
So there's a few things that came out yesterday. One was that the 49ers are definitely interested in moving Garoppolo and would listen to offers from the Cowboys. So that started the social media shitstorm of Jimmy G to the Cowboys, the infighting amongst Dallas fans about whether they should do it or not. And it really doesn't matter because the Cowboys came out and said that they're going to stand pat with what they got. They'll obviously, based on McCarthy's comments, it sounded like they were going to make a move. But he didn't say anything. It was very glossed over. He basically just said,
he did say
we're going to anticipate roster moves.
Well, that, and he said, I got a list of every available quarterback on my desk right now. And I'm just like, cool story, bro.
I mean, congrats.
So do we.
Let me guess. Are you a good dad? Did you work this morning? Okay, you and every other fucking human.
With the Cowboys, yes, they're gonna stick with Cooper Rush, and Will Greer will be on the sidelines breathing down his neck. That,
to me, this raises another question.
The Joneses, they don't give a shit.
Look, I'm going to ask more of like the non-Cowboys fan question because I don't give a fuck about the Joneses. No offense. I'm curious to know your thoughts on, and I think I know your thoughts on it, but I'm going to give you the platform anyway to pour it off your chest a little bit. Do you think that two things? One, Dak isn't as hurt as they think? Or two, do you think that the Cowboys are going to rush Dak back to try and save their season?
So yesterday, Jerry Jones, Jura, went on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, which is their fan, like we have in New York. He went on there, said first, we heard about this already, wasn't going on the IR, right? The message you send by putting someone on the IR, and I understand that there's new rules. So like the IR is not season ending. It's not even 8 weeks. It's now 4 weeks IR, right? But the message you would send to Cowboys Nation, if you said Dak Prescott is going on the IR, people start selling tickets. People start getting rid of their shit. People start losing a little investment in the season, even if it's just 4 games. He didn't want to paint that picture. Therefore, and this is complacency 101, they're sticking with Dak Prescott to be on the sidelines in a cast or whatever the hell he's going to be in, right? For the first, or I guess, a couple weeks, which also is a bad thing if you're trying to fill a roster spot. They're leaving the roster spot open for Dak Prescott right now. That's a bad move. I do
understand. Like the Cowboys tickets are probably already sold out for the most part.
Ready for this? Third market or second market right now for the Bengals game, starting at $35.
Yeah,
$35 to go to a Dallas Cowboys
who's
home
buying
game.
them all, right? Bengals fans. That's what happens when the wheels come off on a season. Fans of the team are like, all right, I'm not interested, but they're not doing the things that they did in the playoffs with the Rams where they're blocking outside sales. Like, they're going to sell tickets to whoever will fucking buy them.
And that's why there's going to be a bunch of Houday or Houdat or whatever the fuck they're called.
Some mixed crowds in Dallas this season if they don't fix it.
Kyle said it best. He said, would a new quarterback even make a difference? The team is bad. No.
Not Jimmy G.
Not any quarterback.
And not giving up any
Cowboys
capital.
and this is going to sound ridiculous, but the Cowboys have the best chance to win right now with a guy who's been in the system.
I agree.
That's it. You can't just bring somebody off the streets and say, well, you can run well and you can lace him in there. Lace him in where? You don't even know the playbook. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, the Cowboys right now are staying put. It is complacency, yes, but it's the smart move. Like, what are you going to do? Like, yes, what I said to myself, I say, look, if the Cowboys don't make a quarterback move, I said they could have traded for the fucking 4th quarterback on the Jets. Make a move. And I still think they do make a move as far as bringing somebody for the practice squad. But if they don't, then it's just, you're really looking at this like, wow, they really don't give a shit over there in Dallas. And that's defeating, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. I feel like none of the guys will make a difference. They're right to do what they're doing. Unpopular or not, it is what it is. 2 more things. There was one funny thing that came out yesterday. Ryan Fitzpatrick is on The Shop, that show with LeBron. Now, for the most part, I feel like that show is just an opportunity for these guys to say some outlandish shit. But Ryan Fitzpatrick being on anything, I'm going to watch. I didn't see the show, but I did see one comment that came out. And Ryan Fitzpatrick said he's that motherfucker. And what he meant by that was he's pretty sure that Tom Brady was talking about him when he said, you're going to pick that motherfucker over me. So Ryan Fitzpatrick adds to his legend that he is the motherfucker that Tom Brady was talking about. I think that only adds to the lore.
I think so too. I think it's
Fitzpatrick, does he make you guys better? That's one guy that I could say maybe. And I mean,
he's the smartest guy in the NFL.
But he is
perfection on the Wonderlic test. Harvard grad? No, yes. Harvard grad. I'm just like Harvard. Very, very. I'm like treading low. I would love Fitzpatrick on the Cowboys. I think that's a great fit. I think it's a great cool thing, cool story. But yeah, no, you just got to stick with what you got right now, man. And that is, my friends, complacency at its best. Meaning, this is the situation. You knew Dak Prescott was one hit away at any point of the season from being turned to dust, and then all of a sudden, okay, cool. Who's the backup? You're right. This isn't about replacing Dak forever. This is about getting through this storm right now that we're in. And according to the locker room, we're gonna run right through the storm. Look, just beat Cincinnati. Will it happen? I don't know. They're 7-point fucking dogs. Like, that's like
speaking ridiculous. Of 7-point dogs, they're 8. But that's another story for about 5 minutes.
Real quick, hold on one second. Ken Palmer, most NFL franchises don't have backup quarterbacks. That's not true. It's pretty funny because your boy who's starting right now was a capable backup last year. You know, so most of these franchises are equipping themselves with somebody who's capable. So if you guys, I'll ask you straight up, if you were an outside looking in, you know every player on every team because of the crap, the nature of what we do every day and all that shit. But if you were just a random Joe Schmo on the street and I told you, hey, Tua went down, Teddy Bridgewater is going to take over, you would say, oh, all right, I know Teddy, right? But if I would have said Dak Prescott went down last night, Cooper Rush is going to start, you're going to say what? Who?
They're in trouble.
Well, not even that. No.
What's the line? 10?
No.
Yeah,
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Nobody outside of Cowboys Nation who knows the roster up and down. Teams are equipping themselves with backup quarterbacks.
Bro,
that is the name of the game.
This is why when we were talking about the Jimmy G thing, and I was like, the 49ers are probably comfortable just keeping Jimmy G because Trey Lance is still on his rookie deal. The money that Jimmy G was getting, they weren't comfortable at. But obviously, you see what they're paying him.
Yeah,
backup quarterback is a premium in the NFL.
There was rumors that Dallas would call up.
I don't think you should be wasting a first-round pick on
Dallas was going to call up New Orleans. And Andy Dalton, who knows the system, would have came back for a trade. You know, like you got to get familiarity in there. You can't just get Cam Newton and expect him to just run a bunch of quarterback draws. You just don't do it. It's not the fit.
So we're going to be talking about point spreads a little bit here. So we just said Dallas is at 7, 8.
Well, we're
saying 8.
Kyle, we got right here books. A few books, 8.5 still rising.
A couple interesting point spreads I'm going to point out as we take a little early look. What I'll do on Wednesdays at the back end of the rundown, I'll just take the first early look at some of the point spreads so we could get an idea for the people that haven't given them a look yet. The Detroit Lions, for the first time in 24 games, are favored.
How about that?
So the Lions are favored. It's a new era in Detroit. Who are they playing? Washington?
Yes.
Yeah.
Commanders,
so favored over the Commanders.
In Detroit. So yes.
A little I mean, like that's a one that I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a look ski into. You like that? A look ski?
Yes, I like that. I also like Ken Paulman picking the Cowboys, by the way.
All right. So some other games of note. I think the game of the week, I think this is Monday night. Eagles at Vikings. See what the Vikings are really made of, or Vikings at Eagles, I should say. Vikings got to go on the road into what I believe will be a hostile environment. The Eagles are given 2.5 in this one. So
that makes sense.
Eagles favored 2.5. I feel like these are the two teams that a lot of people were kind of pegging as they could maybe make a step. It's cool to see them go at it week 2 and see which one is further along in that process. We talked a little bit about the Cowboys. It's 8. What I saw this morning, some people see it at 8.5. It's probably rising. I would say maybe it'll jump up a little bit and then come back down a little once it gets a little higher.
Your boys.
The Packers.
This is a very
the Packers
interesting.
Are laying 10. They're going to wallop Chicago. I'm not leaning it. I'm picking it. You could lay alternate line on this one. I think that game is
alternate
over.
Line.
I think it's over before it starts. 17.5. I'll lay it.
I'll write that down just because I'm just curious. You know Hawaii Mike's writing that shit down.
28-10.
Wow.
What else we got?
Hawaii Mike. What do the Lions do without a backdoor cover?
So
true.
The Niners get their home game, their home opener against Seattle. Seattle shocked the world and beat Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos.
That's right.
At home, but now they got to go on the road. That spread's 9.5. So San Fran they scored 10 points in week 1. They're favored 10 points in this one.
So they win this game 10-0.
Big point spread there. The Rams, coming off of a loss, are favored 10.5 over the Falcons. Another big one.
That's got to be home, right?
Yeah, the Rams are home.
Okay.
And there's two that are the most concerning to me, or not concerning, but the Giants are giving 2 points to the Carolina Panthers. I feel like that's about right.
Yeah, makes sense.
Not too alarming, but one game that I'm a little.
I would say that game's going to move a little bit.
Piques my interest a little bit.
That's going to go 100%. Down to like a pick 'em almost, I think.
And the most confusing point spread of the entire slate, I'm going to see Patriots are favored on the road against the Steelers.
What?
-1. The Patriots are giving points on the road with a banged up Mac Jones against the Steelers. I'm just confused by
First of all,
wholeheartedly.
And maybe Kyle.
I'm like, is there a mistake here? And I have to piss so bad. So when you do your reads, don't be alarmed when I get up.
I was just, well, maybe Kyle could shed some light on this. What's the point of actually making a spread 1? Like, what is the actual point to that? I feel like you might as well make it a pick 'em.
Well, it's just because of the movement. They move it there, and then it'll alter the money line a little bit.
But it's just like, all right, what are the odds that teams will, and even if they do win or lose by 1, it's like, okay, cool, you either lost or you pushed. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, man. 1 point spreads to me make no sense. But again, I'm not a
without getting too deep into it. They do make sense, and we'll talk after, and you'll be like, oh, all right, it's very minuscule, but it does make sense. It's money. It's all where the money is.
The most popular bets on the board right now: Jets plus 5.5, and the Lions -2. Jets and the Lions are the most public bets in week 2. Where are we right now?
Well, I mean, the Lions people are just got to be catching on. They're like 40-6 against the spread.
Yeah, I would assume
in the last 50 games.
The percentage that the game lands on 1 or ends in a tie. I guess that's why they would do the 1 point spread. I don't know. I guess there's of course there's a percentage of why or how that could happen. I'm not in favor of it. I don't know. I don't know. Is that all for your spreads?
For my rundown.
All right.
Back to
you.
You
Do you want me to do the read so you can
Yes.
go? Okay. Goodbye. As he knocks over everything. I do want to let you guys know, I got to get my read actually, that the Chop Sports Daily is being brought to you in part by not Patreon, but the Fusco Insurance Agency. Fusco Insurance Retirement Wealth Planning Services offers life insurance policies with no medical or limited medical underwriting questions, as well as standard life policies that are medically underwritten. That I pretty much said what I just said. They offer plans for over 30 top carriers, whole life term, return of premium term, index universal life insurance, guaranteed issue life insurance, simplified issue plans. There's everything. There's something for everybody. You not only receive life insurance coverage with our plans, but we include the living benefit of long-term health care in the event you become ill or disabled and need care. Additional riders may include disability waiver of premium in the event you are disabled in the premium and will be protected against the lapse in coverage. I got to write this whole goddamn thing over. This is annoying. I have to write this whole read over. I'm reading this and I don't even believe it. I'm like, what am I reading here? We know one product doesn't fit everybody, so we specialize in customizing a plan to meet your needs. And also a special shout out to our friends over at Dat Chat, blockchain, NFTs, you name it. They got it over there. Go check them out. Also, SteveAspara.com, which I know I have one here. Now I deleted it like a schmuck. But SteveAspara.com, just brand new. ChopSportsMedia.com right now. So go check that rebuilt website up. And of course, our friends, we mentioned them before. I might as well mention them every day just because they are lifers. Our friends over at Absolute Eyewear in Woodbridge, New Jersey, across the street from the Woodbridge Brewing Company thing, the new bar that Scoop's cousin owns and has now lost because he bet also on all of Scoop's bets last night. So he lost his stake in the bar and everything. Our friends over at Absolute Eyewear, and of course the girls down the hall, Lowell's. They're doing all the custom stuff. They're working on shirts for Mattawan Day. They made water bottles for Mattawan Day. They're doing a whole bunch of stuff for us. So thank you to Lauren and Danielle. Hit me with the Manscaped, bro.
So yes, you go over to manscaped.com, use the promo code CHOPSPORTS, and you get 20% off a pair of clean shaven balls.
Scoop's not having it.
Scoop. Scoop already broke his Manscaper, and these things are made like.
Did he really?
It's the bet. He's got the worst grundle ever, but he's fucking Muslim.
Oh God!
Sorry to all the Muslims out there. You guys, I've never seen any of your grundles. This is just a joke. So anyway, 20% off, promo code Shop Sports, clean shaven balls. You get Performance Package 4.0 equipped with the 400K LED light for the dark underbelly of man. The butt crack snack is much better with a clean shaven asshole, so you can work that porcelain blade in all the grooves, baby.
I really wish I just
you can exfoliate, get the loose hairs out, because nobody wants a mouthful of loose hairs. You know what I'm talking about? So head on over to Manscaped, use the promo code ShopSports. And what's up, Ash? It says nothing to do with what we do. I promise. No butt stuff.
Christ. No. Yeah, that's a shame.
Hey. So head on over to Manscaped.
My favorite part,
ShopSports.
My favorite part, and yesterday this actually happened. We have, every day, this is the goal, obviously. We have new people that come in and they enjoy the content and they chime in and they're talking fantasy and they're doing all this other shit. Like I want to be a fly on the wall of the room that whatever this new person is watching the Chop Sports Daily, and they just for whatever reason turn us on for the first time, and you're in the middle of a Manscaped read. I gotta know how that feels. Like I don't know. It's for me. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, guys. There's nothing like a pair of clean shaven balls.
It really isn't.
Gleaming the cubes.
Grassrooting it's over here, folks. Trying to do everything at once. But anyway, let's get back to Judge for a second as we enter the last, I guess, 20 games of the Yankee season. We they didn't beat up on anybody, but they beat the Boston Red Sox last night. That's the important part. The more focus has driven over to Mr. Judge, who's hit number 56 and 57. Now, I often wonder, hi, O-Dubs. Yeah, I often wonder how much this guy will finish with in 2022. So right now he's got 57 home runs with 20 games to play. Let's just say he hits a home run every other day. He would finish with 67, or every other game rather. Like, where does Judge finish?
Where does he
finish?
He's 65.
So 1,000% breaking this record.
Oh, well,
he's got 4 to tie it.
He's not hitting 73. Yankee record?
Yeah, Yankee record is what's on the docket. but could he?
Could he hit 73?
Yeah.
No. He has to hit 2 home runs a game.
No, he doesn't.
No, I mean, he's got 57. He needs a lot.
He's
going to hit 75 home runs. He needs 17 more 13. Home runs, 20 games. He's not doing it.
I'm just saying.
Not doing it.
I'm just saying.
It just is a testament to how crazy that Bonds season was. And Aaron Judge, they asked him about who the record is, the real record holder. He said Barry Bonds. He said, bro, I stayed up late to watch him do it. What are you talking about? He has 73, and I agree.
I'm going to bring up Barry Bonds in a little bit with a specific list that we have here.
Okay.
But the real here comes Mike here. The real story is, does Judge pass Ruth in 154 games? So where's Ruth right now? I don't even know. Like,
so how many games?
How many home runs did the Babe hit?
60.
60 in 154 games.
That's very feasible. Very feasible. He could hit 2 more tonight.
Yeah.
All right. It's doable. I don't know that.
He's got the green monster out there.
73 is not doable. 70 is doable if he goes on a fucking tear. But is he going to hit 7? I mean, like,
I think the main thing here is to just be the greatest Yankee baseball hitter of all time.
He has to hit 13 home runs through 13 games or 18 games to hit 70. That's not going to happen. As much as I'd like to see it, that would be.
I mean, but it takes something like last night where he hits 2 in one night and everybody's like, "Oh, wait a minute." You know what I mean? Like, hold the phone. You never know. I don't know.
So it's
something to be interested in.
There's got to be more than 12 games, though, Kyle. Oh, wait, 12. I see what you're saying, for 154 games. So he has 12 games to catch Babe. Yeah, that's doable.
That's gonna happen.
I wouldn't say it's definitely gonna happen, because you could go on a week stretch where you don't hit one, but Judge hasn't really. I don't know if Judge has a week stretch where you didn't hit at least one.
I think he went like 10 games without one at one point. There was one point, and then he hit one, and you're like, "Hey, did you know it was 10 games?" He's like, "No, I didn't know that." So clearly he's focused on the record. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's something to follow for the rest of this season, at least. And the Yankees are going to keep trying to win their division, and
Yankees,
I think that happens.
I wouldn't say they fix things, but they're playing better baseball of late, and that's good.
They're winning
good to
baseball
know going
games,
into the stretch run. Aaron Judge is keeping up pace with his MVP performing season. And my question is the 56 and the 57, is that the home run total, or is that the amount of money the Yankees are going to have to give him annually to keep him around?
That's not listen.
Because
the problem is the moment
price tag goes up.
The moment
every single.
I'm going to tell
day.
you this right now. The moment this season ends, however it ends, for the Yankees, whether it be bounce, get to the ALCS, get to the World Series, whatever happens with the Yankees, the day that the season ends, the San Francisco Giants are going to be like, "Hey, by the way, we'll give you this." And it's going to be up to the Yankees to pony up. Now, if they don't pony up here,
they will.
Would you think?
Yeah, they will.
You're making your prediction that the Yankees re-sign this guy?
Yes. It's going to be, the Yankees are going to at least match every offer. They're not going to let somebody
and make him the captain.
They're not going to
do all that.
They're not going to let somebody outbid them for Judge. Judge is going to have to walk. It's going to be a Devontae situation if Judge goes. So Rube is bringing in a comment. What happens when the Rays are walking him when he's at 61 home runs? Look, the Rays need these games, so they're not going to just go out there and walk them for the fucking sake of walking them. They're going to have to get them out.
Is that who they finish with?
I think the Yankees might finish with the Red Sox, actually.
I don't know.
Or Toronto, not the Rays. Either way, both teams need the game. So, yes, there is that potential, but Aaron Judge has been walked like very few times intentionally.
It's not it's not a Bond situation.
For considering the amount of home runs he's hit.
Like,
I thought people would be walking him a lot more by now, especially the way the other Yankees are hitting.
You would think. I thought that too. The Giants are at 160 mil for the team. They'd have to bump that up to 25% to afford Judge. Okay. And this changes your entire landscape of your franchise. So they might.
Well, I think that there's also a part of the Giants that may have been saving up a couple seasons for the chance to sign one of these big free agents, a la Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
With this offseason coming up.
We shall see. All right, moving on to another big story that dropped last night. And this guy can't stay out of the news as far as when it comes to sending bad text messages. I mean, the last time we saw somebody like this, or at least Bret Favre in particular, send a bad text message, it was a picture of his junk. And now Favre is caught up in a big old scandal in which, basically, from what I've read, has basically stolen money from welfare funds raised to try to pay and fund for a volleyball stadium in southern Mississippi for his daughter. So $5 million was stolen, or how to divert. The texts are shown between Bret Favre and former Governor Bryant discussing how to divert $5 million in welfare funds to build the volleyball stadium. Yeah, so rough times because of this. And look, we all know that all these professional athletes make a bunch of money and they do whatever the fuck they want with it. So it's not like it's out of the realm of possibilities that this guy's like, you know what? I want to raise money. I want to build a better stadium for these guys, blah, 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 right? They do the right thing. The problem is all of this is on their apps. All of this is a big secret. And Favre is quoted to say, if you were to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much? That's for one, Bret, you saw how easy it was for people to see your junk. Okay. And now this is even bigger.
Definitely bigger than his junk.
Yeah, definitely bigger than his junk. Wow, just got off the phone with Phil Bryant. He's on board. We will get this done. And that's what they told.
So like the text itself, without the context of the entire scope of the situation, just seems like a regular text. Okay, what's so bad about it? But when you actually do a deep dive into what went down,
yeah,
you want to give Bret Favre the benefit of the doubt early on in this investigation when things started to come out and be like, well, that could very easily be like a plausible deniability situation where the whatever the fucking guy, the governor, or whatever, the governor of Mississippi may have just pulled some backdoor deal that he's been doing all along, and Bret Favre just was like dragged into the mix because he had ties to the guy. That's not the situation here. Bret Favre was fully aware of what he was doing, apparently. So not a great situation.
Writing. I don't understand why you people are like just so non-complacent. Like it's just you're an idiot.
Not to jump off the subject. We'll jump right back on it. But there is the revival pool that we did not mention earlier.
Which, by the way,
I'm still waiting on the link. 500 people out of the pool.
Which, by the way, how confident and cocky did I strut out? This is the best moment of the day yesterday.
Dave walks out of the fucking office and he's like, bro, amazing, bro. The fucking survivor pool got knocked almost more than in half. There's like 500. And he's like, we're in there. We're going to, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Dave, you picked Denver.
And I was like,
he was like, oh, I'm out.
What? I forgot. I rode with Denver on my survivor pick. And now I'm out too. So now I got to get back in this damn thing.
All right. So anyway. The rival pool link will be out. And then I'll bring up this next comment because this is
just typical Green Bay Packers. Not surprised at all. They're bad people. Rodgers is probably embezzling from the homeless. First of all, that's hilarious. Second of all, I don't buy into the Packers being all bad people, but this is big. I mean, this is big because this guy can literally, no bullshit, he could do jail time for this. Can you imagine Bret Favre in jail?
No, he will not be one. I can't imagine.
But why? Why won't he?
Because he's got money.
Okay.
And he's going to agree to snitch and tell on somebody because why wouldn't he?
Okay.
It's not like you're
now. I raise you
the streets.
I raise you the question. You say he won't, and understandably, the situations are completely different. Why did Mike Vick do jail time?
Why did he?
Yeah. If he has all the money in the world and all the connections, he could have snitched on anybody he wanted to.
One is a white collar crime.
Like I said, totally two different things.
Totally
but
different things.
I think that the athlete going to jail now is not out of the realm of possibility. The Mike Vick
situation was like he had a criminal enterprise set up on his property. That's a very big difference. Like there was a lot more going on with the Vick situation.
Did was
unforgivable. It was like heinous.
Yeah, no.
What he was doing. Bret Favre, at the surface level, it seems like a white collar thing, but I'm sure some heinous shit went down.
You took $5 million away from the welfare
in some homes, but I don't know that. Look, all right,
kids are starving.
How many millions of dollars? If this guy's doing that to the welfare, there's other people that are getting welfare money that don't deserve it. And I'm talking about not constituents, the opposite of constituents. I'm talking about the diplomats that are the lawmakers are robbing you left and right. But I don't know that it was pulled from the welfare funds. But I don't know that any specific household got less because of it, if that makes sense. I don't know.
So personally, people weren't affected. It's just like the bank of that got affected.
Yeah.
Look, there's a lot to dive into. And listen, Rube, I just said, let's see, without trying to jump down my throat, what I asked you why Bret Favre wasn't going to jail. He said he's got money and he's going to snitch on somebody else. And so if that's the case, then everybody who did all these nasty, heinous things over the course of, I don't know, the last 25, 30 years, why can't they just say, look, it was this guy and here's $1 million and I'm going to pay for damages here and don't put me in jail. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it's comparable. I'm saying, like, if somebody could pay off somebody, which clearly Bret Favre sucks at paying off people or whatever.
Yeah,
he did pay $600,000 back last
coming
year.
in and saying jail time for Favre isn't even remotely on the table. So I guess he probably knows a little bit more about it.
Well, he's saying Favre didn't do anything illegal. He's not moving the money around. So he's not the launderer. He's not the one. Fine. But when you're linked to this shit, there's got to be a fall guy. And right now, he's the fall guy.
My imagination goes to this. Bret Favre's going to have to pay a lot of money.
Fine.
Right?
I'm with it.
And Southern Miss, do they get in trouble? I wonder.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about them getting dragged.
We'll see.
Do they knock down the volleyball arena? They just bash it to shreds.
All right. Anyway, I brought up a conversation yesterday with Gooch, and today we bring it to light. And it's not Manscaped, I promise. It's the biggest wasted talent in sports. And now this is not supposed to shit on anybody. It's not.
It's more or less shitting on a franchise more so than
for basically, for ruining this player.
Being the biggest waste of talent is almost a feather in your cap in itself, unless you are the reason why the team never got over the hump.
Yeah.
So you get where we're going with
I brought this up yesterday because of the record that Trout was trying to tie, which was consecutive games with a home run, right? And I'm like, Trout, I mean, if you're not talking about Ohtani or Judge right now, Trout, I'm like, fuck, man, this guy is the best player.
He's so right, bro. We finally agree on something, Scoop. I could not agree with you more. If there was one thing that I could define my the first 40 years of my life with, it would be waste of potential.
Nothing sadder than wasting talent.
Trying to realize it now, though. Don't hold it against me. I'm trying to realize
that
it
hard
now.
at that. But I'm saying, like, I'm looking
good.
at Trout and I'm like, fuck, man, this guy has never been done any favors. He's never, like, they never built a team around him. He's played on some shitty franchises, but he's going to go down as one of the best players ever. Now, I know we've had tired conversations about best quarterbacks that never won a Super Bowl. I'm talking about, like, a lot of success. There's been none, really. I mean, you have to assume that it's just a sad situation for him. There's other guys on my list here, and there's a lot of guys on my list here. I bring up guys like Barry Sanders, one of the best running backs of all time. And he never sniffed any team success at all. It's a sad deal for a guy like Barry Sanders. Under the radar guys, like
just to stick with the Lions, Calvin Johnson,
another one, never won a playoff game, right? So Damian Lillard deserves an honorable mention. One of the better players in the NBA, right? And he's just
a playoff god. Honestly.
Yeah. So ready for these names that, like, again, some of them under the radar.
The NBA is loaded.
It is. And there's only so many guys I can write down from the NBA.
Because
but like
certain players, in the way the NBA works, they just dominated an era. Like, if you look at the Spurs and the Lakers, like, if you weren't on one of those two teams,
you were never making it in the West
for a decade.
Right.
And then the Bulls in the 90s, same deal.
Right.
That's just kind of how NBA has gone. Celtics back in the
guys
day.
Are firing off right now. Casey Hamm is coming in with Tomlinson. He's on my list. And then, of course, Carmelo Anthony. He's not on my list, but he's definitely up there.
The Utah Jazz, Stockton Malone.
Charles
Barkley.
So here we go. Ready? It's a couple guys that are going to be like, oh, wow, didn't think about how good this guy was and never saw success because of the fact. So, like, you're going to hear these names and you're going to be like, wait, he never sniffed the playoffs? Like, never did anything? So, ready? Linebacker. What?
What'd I say?
Wow.
You nailed it. You're so predictable.
You absolutely nailed this, because when we were talking about it, he said, and I quote, Hawaii Mike will bring up Bret Favre and Aaron Rodgers, both winning of one Super Bowl and two of probably the best to ever do it.
Does not fit the premise. Sorry.
No, it does.
It doesn't.
It does.
No, they won.
They did win.
I do agree it is a waste of talent, but it's not the biggest waste of talent, because there's Hall of Famers. Dan Marino doesn't have a ring. That's a bigger waste of talent.
Marino is the obvious. Kelly and John, like Jim Kelly and Dan Marino are obvious.
I also
right?
wonder why Drew Brees and the Saints don't get mentioned. Is it because he played a cup of coffee in San Diego before he's got one. He played 15 years, right?
You think that's wasted talent? In the comparison of Rodgers and Favre.
My point is, like, I understand the scope of having two Hall of Fame quarterbacks over a 30-year stretch, but if Rodgers is a waste of talent, and the same conversation was happening with Favre at the tail end of his career, only one with a top 5 ever at the time, he's not top 5. Why isn't Drew Brees mentioned? Everybody that loves Drew Brees bashes Aaron Rodgers. But next, fail.
Well, he said Hawaii Mike's defending it, saying Drew Brees is not Rodgers or Favre.
Well, and according to some, Drew Brees is ranked in the top 5 and Favre isn't. or Rodgers isn't. And this is typically Ray.
Like, what I'm saying, Kyle's coming in and saying Marino doesn't have a ring. He's widely known as a top quarterback ever, top 5. So does this really belong on this list?
I think that's what qualifies him most on this list.
Right.
It's because it's not knocking the player. It's not taking him off of his perch.
Like, I don't even know how many times Marino was in the playoffs.
But it's really, it's more or less bashing the franchise that wasted the talent.
Right. I mean, you have the best in the world at what he did. And you still couldn't do shit.
I think it's subjective, to the sport as well, where you really can't hold the Karl Malone and John Stockton and the Reggie Millers of the world.
I'll throw some names out there, different sports, right? So I was going to name 2 guys with like really long tenures, 14 years, linebacker, Takeo Spikes. Like, I know he was, but he, like, if you thought about him in his heyday, he was a ferocious player, one of the best going at the time. That dude never played a playoff game. How about that? Right. And then you got guys like receiver Brandon Marshall, played 13 years, never played in a playoff game.
Randy Moss never won.
One of the best receivers ever. But the problem with Randy Moss is
T.O. never won.
T.O. never won. He lost in the Super Bowl as an Eagle. But
we could probably go through like the top receivers and name like a bunch that have never won.
I'll just throw some names at you. Different sports. Baseball. Ready for this? 19 years for one team. Ernie Banks. Never won shit. Never went to the playoffs in 19 years with the Cubs.
So Mike Trout.
Yeah, basically. I say Don Mattingly. I put Don Mattingly on this list because if the Yankees would have won, let's just say the strike year, right? The Yankees win that World Series. Is this like a completely different conversation with Don Mattingly winning one? Right? What are you putting on?
Basically, no elite wide receiver has ever won.
We've had this conversation
but he's
time
again.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Jerry Rice is the only elite receiver that hasn't won, and Kyle will argue that Jerry Rice may or may not be elite.
How about the Steve Nash Stoudemire era in Phoenix? Those guys never won anything, and Steve Nash is one of the best going. Same with Amari Stoudemire, bro. When he came to the Knicks, I really thought that was going to turn us around, bad knees and all. I was like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, but the Steve Nash, I mean, Allen Iverson is a bigger one than Steve Nash to me.
Yankees won the World Series the year before Mattingly was drafted, and then after the year he retired. That's just a weird turn of events, but yes, that's the truth. I also bring up guys like Jeff Bagwell, Craig Biggio, played for Astros teams that just never sniffed any success. Waste.
They weren't on the teams with the Reds, with Clemens and Pettit that got there. They didn't win, but they got there. They lost the World Series.
I want to say no, but I could be. I'm sure Hawaii Mike will nail me on that one, but anyway, 1988 Jerry Rice, exactly like my Uncle Remus. Jerry Rice kind of looks like my Uncle Remus, running around slow. He hates Jerry Rice. Basketball, Charles Barkley, 16 years in the league. He's one of the best to ever do what he's done. He's never done shit as far as rings, right? You mentioned Patrick Ewing. Had he had won that title in 94, the fucking narrative about Patrick Ewing would be 1,000% different.
How about some like UFC fighters, like a Nate Diaz, never won a title.
Champ.
Never won a title.
What about when he beat Conor? That wasn't a title fight?
That was they moved up to 70 and fought. Conor was like the 45-pound champ at the time. Yeah, no. Nate has never won. There's a lot of UFC fighters that were really good. That Dustin Poirier never held a belt.
He's still got a shot though. Realistically, I don't know, but I'm saying like he's still around. You know what I'm saying? What about guys, bro? One of the best hitters ever in baseball, Ken Griffey Jr. Outside of beating the Yankees in 95 or whatever, 94 when they, or I think it was 95 when they moved on to one round, that dude never sniffed anything remotely close to a championship.
He did sniff remotely close, and that it was the Mattingly's of last year when they.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They beat the Yankees, but then that was it. They went to the ALCS and got bounced by Cleveland.
So I guess the question is
Tony Gwynn.
Who's the biggest?
Tony Gwynn.
Who's the biggest waste?
O.J. Simpson. Also
OJ,
never.
Norberg.
Never did any. Norberg. Yes, never. Cowboy Cerrone. How about that? Casey Hammond. Not a bad one. But I'll never forget. I think it was like AJ Bascone's like second day with us where he said like Cerrone's trash or
trash. I mean,
trash.
Like, at this point he is, but
Hawaii Mike said Nate lost his only title shot. So
yeah, Ben Henderson.
I don't know. It's a conversation to be had because it's like all these guys, right? You talk about some of the greatest to ever play these games, and they never even sniffed a successful season or at least get into the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals or whatever. And some of them did, like Karl Malone. Those guys got to the finals, but then Jordan said hello. Like that was it. Rube's coming in. What was that saying?
Super Bowls are a quarterback stat, and it's the only position in all of team sports that should be compared with rings. I feel like in the NBA, you by default just compare NBA players in general, not position by position with rings. So yes, I agree. As far as baseball and football goes, I think that's the only position that really holds merit in terms of being able to say rings. Even though I think football is a consummate team sport where more guys in football have a role in a season /game/play than any sport going. So I do think that the
you know what's funny though is you bring
dragged a little bit too much for their lack of success, but it is the one position that I do agree. It's like
Barry Bonds might be the best, actually.
Yeah,
Barry Bonds is one of the biggest, greatest baseball players to ever live.
I don't think it's a debate.
Really, you think Barry Bonds is the guy? Barry Megatron, Stafford. Well, Stafford, no, he just won a Super Bowl.
Out of the guys that we've mentioned so far on this show, it's Barry Bonds. We talked about him at length before with Aaron Judge hitting 7. You know, like what Barry Bonds did.
Yeah,
you guys were walking. One of the most respected managers in baseball right now walked Barry Bonds in a big situation.
Bases loaded.
With the bases
loaded.
Yeah. So that's all you need to know about what Bonds was bringing to the table.
You're right. You're not wrong when it comes to that. Yeah, just a good, fun conversation to have. And like I said, it's one of the right here we go. One career playoff win. JJ Watt.
Overrated.
I know you never liked JJ Watt, but I've always liked him. I've always thought he's a gamer, and he's one of those guys that just can rally your boys. But yeah, maybe one of the biggest wastes of talent because he's there routing there in Houston. Send him, or now he's with Arizona. But like, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I ever see that in his future of a title. I just don't. I don't know. I don't see it. I'll go as far as saying Tony Romo, but like again. Great numbers. Statistics don't lie. That dude threw for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns, and he never sniffed an NFC title game. That goes for every Cowboys player from 1995 till now. Never sniffed an NFC title game. I'm going to be ill. Like every time I say it, it's just the worst feeling in the world. Holiday won the World Series with the Phillies, I thought. No, he might have lost the World Series because I know the Yankees beat the World Series.
I think that was the Cliff Lee year was when the Yankees beat them.
I remember we lost that bid. Yankees ran on Cliff Lee that year, and we lost out to the Philadelphia Phillies. Oh, man. The Lions waste so much talent so bad that they would rather let guys retire than give them a chance to win somewhere else.
And they finally broke that streak with Matthew Stafford because Calvin Johnson wanted out, and they wouldn't do it, and he just retired. And then it was such a bad look.
Barry story. He retired because they wouldn't cut him.
I think it was the coach. I think they wouldn't cut him.
I forget. So far
obviously,
away.
They weren't going to cut Barry Sanders, but I'm pretty sure that
Steve McNair went to a Super Bowl.
They started having turnover on the roster and guys like familiar faces that he was playing with, and like he just thought that the direction of the team was going down. And he's like, "I'm in year 10.
Right?
They won't let me go. I don't really want to go." You know, Barry was a different breed.
That's not Tyson Fury. If he never had a coke habit, he'd be the heavyweight champ for 9 years running. That's not entirely false either. I mean. I don't know. That's just, again, crazy conversation to have, kind of stemming off yesterday when we started talking about emails. Bro, you know how many text messages I got with screenshots of people's email accounts just because they were trying to like one up everybody else. There's some sick people out there. Sick. But yeah. So anyway, I think that'll do it because tomorrow, ladies and gents, it's Thursday, and that means Thursday night football, and that means the official start of week 2 as we start getting into that. We'll set your lineups. Maybe we'll have a conversation about some lineups that you can be doing. Maybe start some of the Chargers and the Chiefs who go down tomorrow on Amazon. If you have Amazon and have streaming services, you're able to watch this. If you don't, catch up with the times. I'm just mad that I have to flip over. I'm still kind of butthurt about it. I'm not going to watch something on my phone or my laptop. Like I have a fucking massive TV for a reason. I don't like doing it, but I'll watch the game because I know during commercials, that's when I'll go to my phone. That makes sense, right? We going to Somerset tonight? It's supposed to be nice.
I gotta look.
Okay. Anyway, big day in store for us as we still get prepared for next week's debut show of the Mojo Market Report. That'll be dropping for episode 1 on Monday. We've been doing a bunch of prep to get ready for that stuff. Florida State -2.5 is the free bet. Friday night football before. All right. So basically, get involved right now with Florida State -2.5 before it moves to 3.
There you go, boys.
There's your free bet.
Florida State -2.5. now.
Right
Otherwise,
now. Like,
it's
don't
gonna be
log
free.
off right this second. Give it another 30 seconds, and then you can go do the bet. But anyway,
it's free money, boys.
It is free money, according to Sauce.
We had a little tidbit from AJ before Kyle. I don't know if it was tongue in cheek, but I think Kyle is going to tail it. And he said Mike Williams.
Three props or something.
Yeah, Mike
right?
Williams over touchdowns, receptions, and yards. Ride all three. I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you,
Touchdowns.
AJ.
Is that because Keenan Allen's out?
Probably.
Okay. Deep analysis from the prop beaver. He's one of the elite members over there at the Sauce Network. Obviously, there's Kyle, right? If you have the ranking system, there's like Kyle, and then there's like Toast and AJ, and then there's Sean Red and New Guy, and then there's Scoop all the way down yonder is where Scoop is as far as the ranking system. But anyway, like the video, guys. If you're watching this and you like the content, we appreciate you 1001%. And tomorrow we'll get into week 2 of the NFL. Friday we'll do our leans. And then before you know it, Monday morning we'll be broadcasting live from New York City, Matawan, New Jersey for the Mojo Market Report. We're very excited about that.
All right, so you hear it here. He was just busting his balls. They're good bets. AJ has dope notes to back those bets up. And
AJ's a savant when it comes to that shit.
Yeah, AJ does have some good info.
He's got some
good food, baby.
You know who doesn't have anything good? Scoop. It sucks, man. It sucks. Scoop, I hope you have a wonderful day. And, for everybody's sake at the Sauce Network, never make another fucking bet again. How about that?
Smite you Allah. I smite Allah on all of you. You fucking dirtbag.